Okay, I think I'm live now. Hello everyone, welcome to the live show. Today we're going to talk about UTSA versus Texas State. What was the final score? Was it 43-36? Texas State won the game, obviously. And they deserve to win, if I'm just being completely honest. I think UTSA got what they deserved in that game. So I have quite a bit of thoughts on what happened, what this means for UTSA long term, what this means off the field. You know, honestly, with Texas State being right down the road, like that was a very significant, um, that was a very significant win in a lot of ways for that program. Um, so yeah, I'm going to get into all of that. I'm also going to get into all your questions. I don't know how long I will go today. I am tired. I do want to say shout out to everyone that I was able to see at the tailgate. I had a blast at the tailgate for the time I was there. I can only do about an hour or so at the tailgate. So if I didn't see you, I hope to see you guys next time. But I appreciate everyone. It was cool. I got to meet some parents for some of the players, the Overmeyers. I met them. They were just amazing and nice people. We were stuffing our faces at Danny and Yvette's tailgate in Lot C. So huge shout out to them and everybody that I met. I had a lot of great interactions with folks. So yeah, all good. But yeah, I'm super tired from the weekend. I got back home a couple hours ago, just trying to settle in and get reset. So I hadn't had a chance to watch the UTSA and Texas State game back like I typically do for these. So excuse me if I miss some particular plays because I obviously being there, the viewing experience is a bit different than watching it on TV. So I may miss something. Just want to preference some of that there. But anyway, in general, I'll just start with my thoughts in general. Listen, there's a lot to be. One of the biggest things that I've seen on Twitter, and I've seen a lot. The trolls are killing me. Even people in our fan bases are starting to kill me for whatever reason. My mentions, DMs, and anything around my stuff, you guys can have a good time reading some of that. You'll probably get some laughs out of some of it. But anyway, there's a big discussion about who's to blame. You know, what was the biggest issue? All these sorts of things. And here's what I'll say. The biggest issue is we cannot stop. We just can't stop offenses. I know the Texas A&M game. I mean, listen, the Texas A&M game we were overmatched. There's a talent gap there. But what concerns me about this one was there wasn't a talent gap between Texas State and UTSA here. If anything, if you go talent for talent, I think you can make a case UTSA still has the edge from a talent perspective over Texas State. But ladies and gentlemen, that game and someone said this to me, and I agree with it 100%. And this is exactly the way I feel. That game was won and lost in the coach's booth. UTSA got out coached. I put a tweet out. UTSA, Texas State's coordinators out coordinated UTSA's coordinators. That's exactly what happened. It was clear and obvious that UTSA had trouble defending the deep ball. We saw that against Texas State or Texas A&M. Texas State, what do? Early and often. First play of the game, what do? They fire one deep. Just to put that little seed of doubt in the corner's mindset. They fired it deep. Just to put that little seed of doubt in the defensive coordinator's mindset. Because one thing that I thought was interesting is one of the things about Jess Lep's defenses is he likes to dial up really funky blitzes. And we're just not seeing much of that. We got no pressure. What was one of the things that I said or keys to the game? coming into this for UTSA was to get pressure on Brad Jackson, Texas State's quarterback. And we did some of that in the first half, to be fair. I mean, the interception he threw, it was because he was about to get smoked. We sent pressure, or we had pressure. We was able to create pressure. But it was not something we were able to do consistently. So then as a coordinator, you got to determine, and I know it's not an easy thing, because if the pass rush isn't getting there, do you just sit back and put people in more coverage? Like put more people in coverage to try to make it more difficult on that quarterback? The other interesting thing about this is, based on the way how defenses are set up, there's only 4 guys on the field, maybe 5 depending on your formation, or depending on the formation you're in or the personnel you have in, that's going to be able to cover something vertically. So you can find isolations, you can find split between zones. That's exactly what Texas State were doing. I mean, they were throwing the ball deep, and we'd have a corner and a safety in the vicinity, and still somehow it's beyond us. So the biggest issue right now is we cannot stop a soul. We can't stop a soul right now. And UTSA's, they're gonna have to solve that. That's our season. If we can't, if our defense is going to be this bad, I'm just going to tell you now, guys, we have no shot this season to make any real noise. We don't give ourselves, we wouldn't give ourselves a fighting chance to be a conference champion. I mean, the defense is playing so bad right now. And listen, don't get me wrong, they had their moments, but at the end of the day, still 43 points. Let's put on the board. We can't be giving up 43 points a game. We won't win many games doing that. That's a problem. What's crazy, I gotta find it. I haven't even had a chance to go through all the stats. So I'm gonna try to look this up really quick. Did UTSA get credited with a sack in that game? Maybe one. Did they? Because I don't know if they did. Maybe one. I'm trying to pull up the stats right now. Maybe one sack. That is a problem. One of the things that has been a staple of UTSA defenses since I was there is the D-line always gets pressure. Always gets pressure. We're not cutting the cheese up front right now. We're doing reasonably well stopping the run, but even then, they were able to have success against us running the football. You know, I mean, I'm looking at the rushing stats. We did good against Lincoln Perry, but we didn't do good against Jalen Jenkins. You know, I mean, I think we are stopping the run okay, but like, I don't know. The way the defense is playing right now, it's not giving me much. It's not giving me much confidence going forward. Yeah, you have to have some. You have to have, like, we knew coming into the season that the defense will be the weak point. Which is fair. However, I didn't anticipate it to look like this. I just didn't. Listen, there's a lot to be said about the offense, the offensive play call, and the coordinator. I'm going to go in on that here in a second because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about it. But what I will say about that is they still, at the end of the day, put up 36 points. You should be able to win with 36 points. I don't like the play calling in general, but I think to McCown's credit, he made some plays with his legs that extended drives. He made some plays, some broken plays out of nothing. So I think you got to give him credit for getting us out of some tough spots. But the offensive execution was poor down the stretch. Whenever we had multiple opportunities to tie the game or go ahead late in that game, and we weren't able to do that. Um, but the offense is still producing enough. Like the offensive production was still good enough to win us the game. I mean, Robert Henry. I mean, he's the nation's leading rusher, and he's looking like one of the best players in college football right now. So, and that offensive line is just clearing beautiful lanes for him and Will Henderson. I thought Will Henderson contributed quite well also yesterday. But you know, geez, Louise. I mean, you look at the rushing stats, y'all. Robert Henry has 17 carries for 159 yards. McCown had 7 carries for 55. Will Henderson 5 for 49. Just run the ball. That's I mean, it sounds simple, but it looks like we just need to run the football more. McCown dropped back 43 times. 23 20 23 completions for 219 yards. What was one of the things I talked about coming into this game? I talked about the amount of passes that McCown threw against A&M that was beyond 10 yards. I'm talking about completions. It was beyond 10 yards. And it was pretty much non-existent against A&M. So this particular game, beyond 10 yards, on McCown threw the ball. So over the middle, he does this well. This is between the numbers in the intermediate space. He's really good. So he was 4 for 4, 69 yards from 10 to 19 yards, which I thought was really good for him. Which is something that we didn't see against Texas A&M. But his deep ball, listen, his deep ball accuracy needs some work. He had the one good completion to Devin McEwen for 42, I think it was 42 yards. But other than that, incompletion after incompletion after incompletion. One of the things that's mind-boggling to me is you go back and look at the numbers that McCown put up last season. And if you do a heat map on where he is best at throwing the ball, and y'all are going to hear me talk about this ad nauseum, him throwing deep to the outside left, that's where he's the least accurate as a quarterback. However, the vast majority of the times, or the majority of the times, we throw the ball deep on these people were frustrated about it, but we kept throwing these go routes. First off, him and the receivers weren't on the same page. Secondly, we keep throwing these go routes out left. And I asked this question, and I'm being dead serious. If I have access to this data, you can just go to Pro Football Focus. You can see we have access to this data on where he is most accurate, where he's not as accurate. And if we just go deep throws in general, where does he throw the ball? Where is he most comfortable throwing the ball? Where does he have his most success? He wasn't successful at throwing outside left deep last season. He was all right, deep middle. He was reasonably, he threw the ball reasonably well to his out to deep right. If that information is available, you would think that we'd try to hey, if we do want to take a shot deep, let's get him into an opportunity to where he can throw the ball to his right side down the field because he's more accurate and more comfortable throwing that ball. You'd think that we'd do that more than do the thing that we're not good at more. But here you go. 0 for 4 deep left throws. 1 for 2 deep right throws. 0 for 4 between the numbers, deep middle. I don't understand. I don't, you know, I don't understand some of the decisions behind that piece. We dink and dump too much. I mean, Texas State was like all over it, bro. And they became all over it as the game went on. You know, I'll get to questions now. Time out before I get to questions. One last thing. We talked about like special teams. I cannot leave this side of the ball out. Special teams is a problem. I don't feel good at all when the special team I don't like when we kick the ball off and they return. I don't feel comfortable with our punt coverage. When we punt and they return, I'm on edge. I don't trust. We already talk about the field goal thing. There's 3 phases to a football game. All 3 phases can win or lose you the game. The team who executes the best in all 3 of those phases, for the most part, wins football games. Second game in a row where special teams cost us points. We were chasing a game we were chasing them all game because of the safety. That impacted decisions later on in the game because we was down 2 points. People was having to go for 2, and it was just it just showed you the importance of just special teams in general, man. And we're bad at it. The penalties did creep in too. Some of the penalties are just frustrating. The illegal substitution penalty is frustrating. And I don't know who the young man was, but I was very, 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 very frustrated with the young man on defense who was running off. Well, both guys, honestly. The guy who's running on was not running on in a particular fast pace. And he, for whatever reason, like nobody thought to tell the guy like early, like, hey, you're coming off. You need to bust your hump to get off the field. Penalty. And then having too many people in the offensive, that's a problem. Some of that's on the coaches too, though. That's just a team. I mean, and these things hurt drives, man. They hurt the drive. We are awful in third and long situations. So we get a illegal substitution, put us behind the sticks. Now it's 1st and 15. We know what our first couple plays is going to be. Our OC is pretty predictable. So of course we're going to end up in a third and long situation. Like, anyway, let me get to some of your questions. Cody says, I feel like I'm crazy. Other UTSA journalists seems to be making a soft bed for the team, but I see many issues on offense and especially defense that needs to be addressed. Am I overreacting? I envy USF. I mean, listen, there's different perspectives out here, right? I think everybody deserves to have an opinion, and nobody's opinion is wrong necessarily. And I get it, right? Like some people are going to look at this differently. It is non-conference, right? Like it is a non-conference game. It carries a bit more meaning, but it is a non-conference game. And there's a lot of people who just worry about conference. So these games, although they matter, they don't hit the same as conference games do. So I understand that. It is very early in the season. UTSA didn't start well last year, and we have been known to get off to some slow starts. But I don't necessarily think you're overreacting. The issues offensively and here's the thing. Our issues right now, and I get the unrest on Twitter from our fan base. The issues are so easy to see that you don't even have to be a super, advanced watcher of football. It is right there for you. We can't defend the deep ball. Secondary is struggling bad. We can't get pressure on the quarterback. Anybody can sit on their couch and call that out. We don't throw the deep ball well. That one's obvious to see. We are screen heavy. It's listen, whenever a lot of the times, like coordinators and play callers, or not even a lot of times, they all have these sheets of like, hey, we want to call these plays ideally on first, second, or third down, or whatever the case may be, right? Burke does not deviate from it. Like, third and long, second and long, you're gonna every time you're gonna get a screen, almost every time. I tell you what annoys me too is just like whenever we get around the 50-yard line, because we're probably gonna go for it on fourth. We kind of lazily do the 3rd and 8. We're gonna lazily call this run play that gets stuffed, and then we have to punt. Like, and it's so obvious when we're doing it when we harry to the line to snap the ball on 3rd down and 7. Like, you, I'm sorry. Yeah, we have issues. We have a lot of issues. You're not overreacting. These other journalists, they're gonna have their opinions. I sat next to a lot of them in the press box this weekend. Listen, everybody has a different opinion. I think those guys offer. I think the good thing about our UTSA sort of coverage, the main people who cover it, even though I don't consume much content outside of mine purposely, it's not shaded anybody else. I do read all the articles though. But anyway, I think each one of us in the space of UTSA has sort of a different angle on how they perceive some of these things, and I think that's good. Cody says, I believe the excuse of, well, they can't do much about it is worthless. In every other profession that gets you out of there, have we settled for mediocrity? I mean, maybe so. I mean, listen, I like at this point in time, you can't go make a trade like in professional sports, but like they can't do anything about. Well, I mean, they can't do anything about the players and them executing. They have the players they have right now. That's just a fact. But like it's their job to figure out to do something that makes whatever talent pool they have perform at optimal levels. That's going to look different per season. Some seasons you're going to have super great receiving core like we had with Cephas, Clark, and Zachariah Franklin that one year. Some seasons you'll have a Robert Henry or a Sincere McCormick. Some seasons you won't. Some seasons you'll have a Zay Frazier, Cam Alexander, or Tariq Woolen at cornerback, right? But some seasons you won't. What matters is whatever talent pool you have to put them in a position to where their strengths show more than their weaknesses. And we have not done very good at that in the first couple games. Like I said, I'm not that worried about the A&M game. Like exactly what I expected to happen happened there. But the Texas State one was a little bit alarming. Let's see. The Nerdy Drummer Boy says, I agree, Cody. I think people are frankly being a little too nice now. Last season, people were mean, and they got nice when we won 1 or 2 games. We should have fought. No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't have, but forgot the losses. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just, like I said, it depends on who you come across. Like, I'm upset about this, and I'm disappointed I'm disappointed in their performance yesterday. I just am. That's Traylor's 4th loss at home. We had Texas State where we wanted them. We had momentum swings, and then we turn around and give up a deep ball touchdown right after that. Like, we had ample opportunities to win that game. Ample opportunities to swing the momentum and keep it. And we didn't do that. And listen, like, here, like I'll give you guys something, and I don't. I'm probably not supposed to share some of this stuff. Um, yeah, I probably shouldn't share some of this stuff, but it is what it is. It's talk. But I'll say this: there are there are a couple players that Texas State's coaching staff likes on UTSA's team, and there were conversations that had about that last night. Yeah, I mean, that's the type of thing that I'm talking about like what happens off the field and all these types of things. When you think about the recruiting aspect, that's why when people come in here and say the Texas State thing shouldn't be a thing, we shouldn't be a rivalry with them. We shouldn't. No, we are where we are. Period. We are where we are. And the fact of the matter is a lot of the same. We're going to be going for a lot of the same recruits. There's a lot of recruits that came that are also being recruited by Texas State. There's also people on our team that were recruited by Texas State. And guess what? Texas State will still want some of those guys. And some of those guys, after an upsetting loss like this, will answer the phone if Kenny calls right afterwards. That's one of the things I mean about, like, it's what I mean about um this stuff. You can't lose these kind of games because this stuff is so close. The schools are so close in proximity because that kind of thing is going to happen. Our defensive coordinator has a lot of issues, in my opinion. I mean, here's the thing. He has shown the ability to put forth dynamic defenses. Like, because I've seen his, like, what he wants to do work and the type of defense that, like, we generally have under him. It's a playmaking defense that's not going to be perfect. They're not going to, but they're going to be good at getting off the field on third downs. They're going to punish mistakes on offense by taking the ball away. So I still think there is opportunity for him to come good on like figuring this thing out. So I have a little bit more patience with him, but he has to get it fixed. Eric says, I had us losing originally because of the play calling, but we lost this game because of our poor defense and poor pass catching. Play calling decisions, though, still an issue. Yeah, the play calling is not, and I'll go back and I'll say this again. The play calling on offense is not necessarily the biggest reason we're losing. At the end of the day, the offense put up 36 points. You have to find a way to win. That's enough. That's enough. It was enough. It wasn't enough on the night, but it's enough. A defense, if you go and tell any defensive player or any defensive person or something like that working in football that your offense is going to put up 36 points that night, they will all raise their hand and say, "Oh, we're going to win the game. We'll take that every night." That's more than enough. That's what they would say. That's what they should say. So at the end of the day, I don't like the play calling, but we put up 36 points. But I will say it shows itself whenever like we really, really need something to work for us, like at the end of the game, trying to make a game-winning drive or something like that. It shows itself. It shows up. Um, the nerdy drummer boy says play calling is a factor, but don't forget we mentioned to get we okay, yeah. 36 points. Exactly. This is exactly my point. Steven says, what were the main reasons for this loss? 43-36 is a shootout. Yeah, I think the main reason is we cannot defend the deep ball, and it impacts the way our defensive play caller, it impacts the way he calls plays. He obviously, like, when we get beat deep on some of these plays, like he'll play soft coverage for a little bit before he, like, try to dial something up. He's just like, I think his perspective is like, let me just get the guys back in the base for a couple plays or drive or two or something like that before I start throwing, you know, weird things in the, mixing up the play calling a little bit. But like, it's a problem. Like when a coordinator can't trust his secondary, then yeah, it makes him it'll make the play calling less dynamic, more vanilla, and that's going to be limiting because offenses are going to be able to exploit things like that. Eric says unsure what the main reason is as well. Could be our receivers. We don't get separation. Oh, okay. Look like we got a super chat here. Shout out to Seth. Oh, shout out to Seth, man. Appreciate you so much for that. Appreciate you so much for that. How do I get this off screen now so I can go back? Now I forgot where I was. Whose question was on? Okay, curious question. Are you allowed in the post-game conference room? No disrespect to our media, but unsure if we have people that are willingly going to ask real questions. Just my thoughts. So yes, I am. Yeah, I just don't like to go to those because I'm gonna tell you why. Like all like you go through like you bet all those people are media trained. They're gonna say the same exact things after the game, like after the game. You know, coach is supposed to go up there and say it's my fault. I didn't get our. I like how many times have you heard, "Hey guys, it's my fault. This is not on the players. This is not on the coaching staff. It's me." You're gonna hear that from our head coach every time. Every time there's something that's super disappointing, it's his job to take it all on his shoulders. He'll deal with his staff and the players later, but publicly he's gonna defend and go to bat for his guys. You're not gonna get much more than that. He's gonna blame himself. He'll give you some direct answers on a play or two or some scenarios or two, but it's all media trained. I have no interest in those. Like if we can't, I want to have. I prefer long form, back and forth conversations. I don't like to do the interview thing. I love those guys who are doing it. They are generally very receptive to feedback, and I actually think they do ask some tough questions. I credit a lot of I credit some of the questions that Greg Luca asked a lot last year. I remember Coach Traylor, kind of saying to him like, "Man, you're tough on the guys." Last season after Owen McCown had a poor performance at the beginning of last year. So I think, listen, if I listen, tell them to what questions you want. I'm sure they'll ask. But yeah, I can I choose not to do the trailer things, even his Monday media thing. I don't join the Zoom calls for those because, to be honest, I think he does. Coach Traylor does give you a little bit more than what some coaches does or do, but like it's still the same like cookie cutter type thing, which is what he's supposed to do. Steven says, check your email. Want to try to? Yeah, for sure, man. I'll check it out and see what my availability is. I'll get back to you. Let's see. Gabe Campa, defense was awful. Can't win a game if you can't get a stop. How do you think Traylor should go about fixing it? I don't know. They're gonna have to figure it out. I mean, we got to figure out how to stop the deep ball in some way, shape, or form. Like we got like it's I don't know. I mean, we got to get pressure too. We're not getting sacks, bro. Yeah, I thought I was looking that up. We're not getting sacks. Like, did we get a sack? Let me see. Yeah, we got one sack. We've gotten one sack in 2 games, y'all. A UTSA defense has gotten one sack in 2 games. Not good enough. Not good enough. We had 2 great OCs before Burke that were able to cover the DC shortcomings, but it can't be hidden anymore. Plus, special teams somehow got worse compared to when we had no coordinator. Listen, here's what I'll say about yes, the defense has been not great this year. They weren't great last year. You know what? You're right. I'm not like going to go on a defensive tangent. I was having a conversation with a gentleman last night. And he'll know. We were just having a conversation after the game, and he was talking about like this defense compared to like the defenses in the early days. And statistically, there's not much of a comparison. right now. We weren't giving up this many points on a per game basis way earlier in the program's history, and I think that's pretty telling. That's pretty telling. It just kind of shows you how bad it's gotten. Um, like he's a guy. Whenever we were having this conversation, he's coming at it from a recruiter standpoint, and he's like, "Well, the players were just better. The players now are just better than us whenever we came in," and he's probably right. But um, there's still like facts that you can go back and look at to see, like, well, just because like some of these defenses have had really talented guys, they still got to go on the field and prove it, and they're not proving it right now, and they got to figure that out. Traylor's loyalty to his coaches that can deliver is going to kill his career at UTSA. How are veteran coaches being outwitted by upstarts at Texas State? Well, listen, modern football, Texas State plays a very modern game. UTSA does. UTSA does too, to be fair. They are both on sort of like these innovative offenses, and getting guys into space, matchup hunting. They're doing all the right things, but yes, our coordinators just got danced on. That's just it happens. This was an oh Jesus. This was as embarrassing as it can get. I'm tired of the coach saying it's his fault. Like I said, Mike, this is why I don't go to these types of I don't like to do interviews like that, because you're not getting the real person. You're getting the media trained responses, you know? I'm sick of it too, though. I'm sick of it too, but what is he going to say? Anthony says, "Hey, Darren, in your opinion, what were the top 3 things that impacted the game and which led to our loss yesterday?" Great question. I mean, the deep balls that we couldn't stop, I think those were demoralizing. It killed some of the morale, killed momentum whenever we had momentum. It was a problem on some of these drives. I think so. That's one of them. The second one, we had some timely penalties. I'm gonna check my notes real quick that I took at the game. We had some really timely penalties that really killed us. There was a 4th down, I believe, down sort of. There's a 4th down. I forget the quarter. Let's see. Do I have it here? I do not have the quarter here, but we got a pass interference call where one of our corners was early. We had 2 of them, actually, 2 PIs that I think were opportunities for the defense to get off the field, and the drive was extended and Texas State capitalized and scored. On both of those PI penalties we had, the ones I'm referring to, we were in position. We were almost covered it so well that, like, it's the reason we got the flag in the first place. Like the one over the middle, I forget which guy did it, but he tackled the guy, and I'm like, if he would have just reached up and went for the ball, even if he wouldn't have touched it, the ref doesn't call it. But because he tackled the guy before the ball technically arrived, we had it covered. He just got overzealous and tackled the guy for whatever reason. That killed us. We did get a PI call that really wasn't a PI call. It was on the far side of the field in the corner. I actually think our corner did really well in terms of what they did. Their positioning was well. I did see the replay of those. I think those were just backbreakers. Those penalties were backbreakers for us. And then the last thing I think is we just didn't execute well down the stretch offensively. And like I said, at the end of the day, we did put up 36 points. You got to win if you put up 36 points. However, the play calling issues become an issue when we have these pivotal moments. And y'all hear me all the time say situational. Like, this coordinator has good numbers on paper that he can give you and say, "Hey, I can justify my job because I produced this amount of yards, this amount of touchdowns, and this amount of points." Yes, right? However, some of the situational football is not the best, and that's where the lack of clever, good, or whatever you want to call it, play calling hurts us because yeah, you can put up these points, you put up all these numbers, but now we need you to have a to call. Well, first off, you got to be able to adjust to the defense's adjustments to what you've been successful to. Number one, we don't do that well. But number two, like you have to be able to dial up a drive in a high leverage situation and to be able to get us in the end zone or down into the red zone. We had 3 or 4 opportunities, I think 3 opportunities to do that, to tie the game in the fourth quarter. Wasn't able to do so. Trader's loyalty will be his downfall. He refuses to do what's necessary to get the program back on track. This loss set us back years. It's going to set us back on the recruiting aspect for sure. I'll tell you that right now. There are some guys who are very, very popular in sort of the South Texas, just South Texas and around San Antonio in the recruiting thing, and they have their ear to the streets. They're very well connected with all the coaches around some of this stuff. You know, this is a problem for UTSA, and this thing between UTSA and Texas State, like I said, people want to ignore some of it, but it is a reality that it's here, and there is a tide that's starting to turn. And that it pains me to say that, but it's just a reality. You know me, I'm gonna try to be as objective and straightforward as I can. And the facts are, yeah, this isn't great. This isn't great for where our trajectories are. They're looking like they're having a steeper climb than we are at this particular moment in time. And that's I mean, we've lost to them twice in a row, back to back years. They did it at home and then came to the dome and got one with a quarterback with just his second start. You know, I don't know if it's his second start, but you know, you get my point. He's a newly taken over quarterback. So the QB was from SA and we didn't recruit him. I thought we were 2-1-0 on. Well, I don't, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I have thoughts about the way we recruit quarterbacks now and what we can and what we can't do, but I don't know. Do we see our team turning things around and taking out their frustration on UIW, meaning we win by a lot, or this team is in search of their identity and we will see another close one at the Dome next week? Great question. So I'm a little bit more worried about the UIW game than I feel like I should be, only because their head coach is, you know, a Kenny disciple in the sense of like same philosophy, same approach. I know they're comparing notes. They had a bye week to plan for this. I know they talked about how to approach the game against UTSA and scheme up things. They're just going to have us figured out. They have an All-American receiver who can pretty much do anything. And it's just going to be interesting. Look, I don't think that they'll win the game, but like, could I see it being closer than it should be? Absolutely. Because they're probably going to score on us. They have a quarterback that they really, really like. And I've heard a whole bunch of people love their quarterback. And you should hear the things I hear about this Richard Torres kid. So we'll see. I'll obviously in midweek, whenever I watch their game from the weekend, I'll be able to give you more of a clear sense of what we can expect for UTSA. But yeah, I'm worried. If I keep telling my boss I messed up all week and I week in and out, or week in and week out, I'd be fired. Maybe Traylor was really winning with Frank Wilson's recruits. I expected this. I knew this was going to come up, and it's an interesting. Here's what I will say. I worry about the skill positions and Frank Wilson. Think about the skill positions that Frank Wilson brought in. Those guys were good. He recruited, bro. Like, let's be very clear. He recruited. Um, I will say that, like, there's a. I don't want to fall into that, but you might be onto something. I'll just say that you might be onto something. Speaking of recruit, I saw a post on X. We had over 100 potential recruits at the game yesterday. Does this loss impact that group, in your opinion, by a lot, or is that somewhat salvageable? I mean, look, it's probably we're definitely going, like, that impacts us in a negative way for sure, but it probably impacts it on a positive way also, because look at how big time that game was, how many people was there, that's why they brought so many people to that game. And it also depends on the position. I'm sure that any cornerback recruits who were there were chomping at the bit because UTSA's corners didn't look good, and they're probably like, you know what, I can come here and get some playing time. I will say where it's gonna hurt is Texas. Any recruit that Texas State has offered and UTSA has offered, of course, the Texas State people are going to have the advantage at this particular point. And like I said, there are people on our team that Texas State are talking to and calling to get information about. I know that for a fact. So yeah, like that loss impacts a lot of stuff, man. Um, I have a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna try to go a little bit quicker. If you want some prioritized, drop a super chat. I'll prioritize those, but I have so many comments. I'm behind. Let's see. Probably because I've been yapping about my own stuff so much. Let's see. Bob says, I'm not sold on McCown. Yes, he made some throws, but he sure looked like the UT quarterback against Ohio State. Play calls were weak. Kudos to Texas State. They had a good game. Yeah, I'm not either, bro. It's like it took me a while to like get on the McCown train. Listen, he has some promising attributes, no doubt. And part of the reason I was singing so much of his praises is because he did do a good job at the end of last year, I think, putting things together and becoming a really good quarterback. I mean, I think you cannot deny some of the success that he brought to the team and some of the game-breaking plays that he made to get us some victories and some, he made some big plays in high leverage moments late in games last year that gave me confidence. Like, you know what? He's not like the ideal quarterback for me, but I like what we got. I think we can build around him and like do some good things. And honestly, we've seen some of that game breaking ability yesterday too. Like I said, he kept some drives alive with some of the big runs that he had. I think there's no doubt about that. However, I was expecting. Well, here's the thing about, like, it's not necessarily about if I'm sold on him or not. I'm going to support whatever quarterback that we have, and I'm happy. I'm be happy when they do great, and I'm going to, tell the hard truth when they're not doing great. I think for him, he has to work on his accuracy down the field throws. He just has to, because we're not even giving our receivers chances at some of these things. So that has to be better. I mean, listen, what's crazy is, like, the best downfield throw we've seen this season came from our number 2, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I hope he does better, though. We are no longer the top G5 program in Texas. I don't think so. I don't think we are, just to be honest. Texas State person. I hope the Birds win out and get their season back on track. Do you think Brandon Tennyson gets some starts eventually this season? You know what? Like I said, I come across some pretty good Texas State people. I'll tell you this, and this is crazy. There were more Texas State folks that were like nice to me after the game yesterday than some of our UTSA folks. I got a lot of heat for some reason, just catching strays. I don't know why. Um, do I think I listen? I don't know if he would get some starts this year. If things like if we were to go 0-4 or something, yeah. But like you got some of these things, like for example, the Pro Football Focus grade has like Owen McCown graded out the highest, and it just shows you that some of these grading systems and these star rankings and all this stuff, it just shows like that you still have to you still have to evaluate these things a little bit closer than that and kind of normal ball. He didn't have a bad performance yesterday, but like there are some limitations to his game that are hurting us. I don't think there's any way to deny that. There's some limitations to his game that hurts us as a football team. But we'll see. But on Brandon Tennessee, I have no idea. I have no idea. I like to see him more. If I'm being honest, I like to see him more. But I'm sure they're going to try to get him some opportunities at some point. I'm not in a situation where I feel like, hey, let's start throwing in the QB2 in. I'm not there yet at all, but I would like to see him. I would love to see him get some time. Thoughts on the kid invaders on the field? It's whatever. I was on the field. I didn't even see. I don't. I must have missed it. Um, I yeah. I don't really have any. I agree with the coaching, and I appreciate ours owned it, but they also recruit better. This isn't an NIL issue; it's a coaching issue. Yeah, we got out coached. Period. You're correct. This wasn't an NIL issue. This wasn't a talent issue. They out coached us. Kid had a triple dog there sent his way. Let's see. I'm gonna try to get through some more of these. Kathy says GJ knows Jeff too well. So he outsmarted Jeff, but also GJ has more diverse experience that he could draw from. I'm worried in their special teams trial. Shout out to Kathy. Kathy is killing it right now. Shout out to Kathy. Trials should be on Monday. Not joking. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I'm just going to try to run through as many of these as I can. Unsure if you remember, but on the offensive side, what did you think of running shotgun inside zone on 4th and goal at the 1? Yeah, I actually put a tweet out. Here's what upset me about that, and this is what I mean by like this offensive coordinator really irritates me. That's an opportunity in the game. Think about how much that would have changed the game if we scored there. But here's what upsets me. This is what we do. That ball was, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember this correctly, we were 4th and inches. Like it wasn't even a full yard we needed. We were right on the goal line. What frustrated me about that call is every time we were 4th and inches or 3rd and inches after that, we start doing like a tush push quarterback sneak throughout the rest of the game. Did y'all see those? We did like 3 of them later in the game. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I was frustrated about that. I tweeted about it too. Regarding the defense, like you're talking about, who on the schedule ahead is an offensive-minded team that worries you? I mean, let me see if I can answer this really quick. A low-key incarnate word. Listen, honestly, I'm worried about every game right now. I just want to win one. Robert Henry's face after busting his behind to make that TD in like 3 plays they scored, his face was exasperation. Let's see. They had a much bigger D line and O line similar to A&M. Did they? I didn't get that feel. They played well though. True on McCown's legs, but slide. Oh yeah, he does need to slide. That hit was avoidable. The receivers don't seem to know where to be. Yeah, they got to get on the same page. I don't know what's happening and what's breaking down, but they weren't on the same page, and we wasted plays multiple times, and that's a problem. All right. I'm gonna try to get some questions from some other people. Burke should have been fired last year. I was in the chat last week saying to fire him, and I'm just happy everyone finally seeing it. Hey man, I've been on the Burke. I don't like to ever call for people's jobs like that. These people got families and those sorts of things, but he has not been my favorite since year 1. A couple years ago. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm not on firing him, but yeah, we need to reevaluate the coordinating position on offense, in my opinion. But It is what it is. Losing the game matters in recruiting against Texas State. We used to dominate recruiting. It will start changing. It is changing. It is changing. It is changing. Like I said, they may yeah. It, it- I'll if you guys are in my Discord, I'll share more about some of the recruiting stuff that I heard about last night. We got to start calling out these coordinators. They're getting paid to do some jobs. I understand that Traylor likes them, but we cannot always be starting our September super low. I agree. I agree. I pray. Yeah, I play. Our play calling is very predictable, sir. You're not wrong there. It's Rab. He says, like I said, pro rivalry is pro UTSA losing. I know half of the UTSA fan base is happy we lost to make this a thing. Now get ready for the attendance to drop off. Bet small, lose big. Yeah, it's Rab. I'm not doing that with you today. Thanks for coming to the Rowdy Smoke tailgate. Tough loss Saturday. Yeah, shout out to you guys, man. Didn't get to get any of the food, but I certainly will next time. Yeah, appreciate you guys out there. You can never disappoint. Let's see. I'm gonna try to go down to some more of this stuff. Never a problem in recruiting until we started playing them again. Now UTSA put themselves to recruit against Texas State. We've always had to recruit against Texas State. Let's see. Zeke said, I know the offensive play calling is pretty predictable, but this loss falls on the defense more than anything. If UTSA can't stop a team from putting up that many points, that's completely correct. Completely correct. Yeah, correct. But our offense can also not struggles to situationally, be able. Like I said, we had 3 cracks at tying the game or potentially taking the lead of the game at a particular point in time, and we just couldn't do it. Game was over when they did shotgun on 4th and 1 in the first quarter. Call too. Yeah, not great. Not that close. It just made no sense. Do you think UTSA can bounce back from this? Great question. It's a straightforward, simple one, but great question. I'm glad you asked it. I think it's going to be hard for UTSA to bounce back on the Texas State. Like the thing between Texas State and UTSA, it's going to be hard for them to bounce back from that. In terms of this season, we can certainly bounce back this season. It's got to start with UIW. It's got to start with the good performance against Colorado State. And it's got to start with health and guys being, locked in and focused in the bye week before conference play. So is there I think there is a bye week before conference starts. But yeah. So I think I think we can bounce back, but I don't know. The defense, like I said, I didn't expect the defense to be great this year, but they are worse than I anticipated, at least based on what they've put on tape in 2 games. Traylor also helped Kenny get the job at Texas State. Why would he think he could beat someone younger and knows his game? Haha, I guess Traylor's more loyal to his friend instead of the brand. Not good for UTSA. Yeah, I hope you don't believe that that's how it works. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, yeah. Zeke says, I don't think UTSA has ever had an elite secondary in the Traylor era. By passing yards allowed, UTSA had been in the bottom half of the NCAA since 2021. Last season, UTSA was 12th worst. Yeah, I mean that's true, but we've always had playmakers in the secondary who were good at taking the ball away. So we were still creating takeaways. Traylor defenses have never just been super great, but they've been playmaking defenses. We play in the conference is going to spread you out a lot. So the conference, it's going to be tough to have a stifling defense in a conference like this. And like with some of the non-conference opponents that we play. So like, I get what you mean though. I get what you mean. It's a good observation for sure. I don't care if we end the season on a 10-game win streak and finish 10-2. This loss is just too embarrassing. It's pretty. It's not great. It's not great. This hurt more than losing to Houston in triple overtime. Yeah. in years past, though, like you said, we've had rushers to help out when putting pressure, especially at their will linebacker spot. We at least need Jamori last season, or we had Jamori last season. Who's going to be the guy? Somebody has to step up. That's one of the things I'm surprised about because UTSA, even since I was there, has always had a great defensive line and a defensive lineman who was wreaking havoc. And that can go back to the Marlon Smith days. Jason Neal was doing some work. It goes back to your Marcus Davenports. We always had somebody on that front line. I even think about BP. That's Brian Price, and some of the guys that I was playing with, Frankie Anaya. Like these guys were really really good, man. They were really really good. They had opportunities to play on the next level as well. All those guys I just named, and that was dating back to when I was at UTSA. And we've been pretty consistent at having good quality defensive linemen. And what's interesting about it is like I think the guys we have are good. Like they're doing really well against clogging up run lanes. Like we're doing well at stopping a run, but like we cannot get pressure. We cannot get pressure on a quarterback. Like that's the part that I can't wrap my head around because when I look at the guy individual for individual, I'm like, I think that's a good player. I think that's a good player. I think that's a good player. But for whatever reason, we can't get we just can't get pressure. Not enough anyway. Would it be too hasty and negative to say UTSA may finish 5 or 7 or worse? It's very. I don't know. I don't know if that's how you feel. That's how you feel. It's your opinion. Um, I don't know if I have grounds to disagree. Like, I don't think UTSA will finish poorly. I surely don't want it to happen. But like when I walk at when I leave from watching the game and see a performance, the defense like giving up what they gave up. Who knows? Imagine if we never played them after 2021. Seems self-inflicted by UTSA. They don't even get paid to play Texas State. Seems people care more about regional things than UTSA itself. Okay. Zeke says also would it be okay? Would it be too hasty to say that this may be the beginning of a tailspin for UTSA? I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that because what happens, like, what if this season is like last season? Remember, Traylor came in saying that this season was, last season was a disappointment, winning 7 games or whatever. And if that happens again, where's his mind go? Are players who were bought like how are the players going to feel about some of that? Would McCown even stay another year? Like he turned down $1 million offer. Like, why not go take $1 million? I know his family is like, I know they got money or whatever, but like, I'm sure they wouldn't turn. I mean, they clearly turned down $1 million, but like, he'd have 1 more year left. Like, who's to say he'd come back? I don't know. I hope so. I surely hope so. That was Texas State Super Bowl. They would go 8-5 like the past few seasons. Maybe so, but it's a meaningful win, without a doubt. It's a meaningful win. We got let's see, we got this. Just need to lock in for conference play in the rest of the season. I feel like we could end 10-2. I hope so. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. You saying the gap where UTSA stopped playing Texas State, the time frame of UTSA greatest brand growth and winning championships. Had UTSA worried about recruiting versus Texas State and at their level during that time? Crazy. Okay. I'm struggling to see how we can rebuild any hype for home games this season. $15 nachos and $20 beers to watch Burks play calling is not fun. Yeah. I mean, I want to be an advocate for people going to the games, and you all should certainly go to the games. We all should certainly go to the games to support UTSA. But this is going to be a buzzkill for a lot of the casual fans who, lightly support the program. This is not going to make them want to come back, often. And that sucks. That sucks. Burke is more predictable than on the easy mode bot on Madden 25. He's pretty predictable, especially on third down. Yeah, the third. Yeah, yeah. Henry is one and done. Henry has to leave anyway. This is his last year anyway. When do you think we're going to change the OC? I don't think we are. We're not. Coach Traylor's not going to do that. And like I said, they're gonna like as coaches, they're gonna look at things. What coaches typically do is they find a reason for why the player didn't do something. A player not like doing something and saying, "Oh, this wasn't executed properly because my play is supposed to work every time I draw it up." Like coaches, a lot of the times, like in these film sessions, coaches are not coming in and saying, "Hey, I got out coached right here," or "This was a great thing by this defensive coordinator that tripped us up." They'll tell us, "Hey, you didn't do X, Y, and Z, and this made the play for them work." You know, so but no, we're not going to change the OC. Because like I said, at the end of the day, he did still put up 36 points. So we cannot like the play calling. He still put up 36 points, and you got to win with that. All this is self-inflicting, but UTSA picking up this series after losing U of H contract. Now UTSA not looking like a hot job once Traylor leaves. Yeah, no, that's UTSA is a hot job. UTSA is a hot job. Do you think AJ is going to be our deep threat receiver? No idea. Um, no idea. No idea. I did listen. I will give some. Can I give you guys some positives of what I saw yesterday? I know we're at the very end. Some of the positives I liked. I think McEwen had a strong game. He looks the part. We need to get him the ball more. Obviously, Robert Henry is the big positive. I mean, he's one of the best backs in the nation at this point in time. And he's proven that. So that's a positive. I think Tyon Milton at safety, his run support is impressive. It's very impressive. He supports he supports the run really, really well. I really liked some of him coming down and getting mixing it up there. I'm just looking at some of my positive comments. I did think, I don't know. We did some all right things on offense. To be fair, I think some of the play calling in the red zone was really nice and clever. We got that one touchdown where nobody was in the yard to the receiver on the RPO that Owen McCown threw. So we did some all right things offensively. I think I still want to see more of Amador. We did see AJ Wilson on a catch where he almost scored a touchdown. He's good. I like DJ Allen. He finds a way to get open and he finds pockets of space for himself to make himself available. We got to use the tight ends more. I think we got one of the best tight end groups and best tight end rooms in the country, but we aren't utilizing them enough. And yeah, pretty interesting. I will say though, there seems to be a bit of correlation between playing the heaviest Texas State and second heaviest A&M O line in the nation and the lack of QB pressure. I didn't know they were that. I mean, maybe they were. Maybe so. Maybe so. Didn't break the record as advertised, and not the attendance will suffer, or now the attendance will suffer even more. What a backfire by UTSA. We definitely didn't break the attendance record. Meat come out to Radisson Tailgate C5, brisket, chicken, margaritas, and beer. Shout out to Derek and team. Those guys are nice. Go see them. I'm gonna drive into one. That's what does she want? I don't know what that means. That must have been a text message. She said ignore that. Jesus Christ. Do you think Traylor is going to be involved in the play call? Like how? Nope. I don't think he will. What's your Discord? Hello, Jacqueline. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, by the way. I completely forgot about that today. The link's in my description. Let's see. Yep, link in the description. if they're a new cornerback, Ahmad Chapman was in, they would have won. Period. Ahmad Chapman. Listen, at this point, we should try. We should try anybody. Like, because the guys that were out there didn't do very much. So yeah, that kid's a big tall kid. Hope he gets an opportunity. Not sure if you touched on this. What are your thoughts about some of the drop passes? Yeah, can't happen. Can't happen. Some of them looked. I will come to their defense just a little bit because some of them were like tips, like Amador. That was a tipped ball, but we did have too many drops. Like 5 drops is too much. It's too much. Yeah, we had 5 drops is too much. Can't happen. Cannot happen. Period. To be fair, Texas State got decent at football considering that we've been playing. Okay. Um, they should have put in BT toward the end of the game. He threw a touchdown against A&M. Well, you can't really do that. Meanwhile, ELM is undefeated. different competition. Same amount of FBS years, Mr. Meep. Come on, man. What's your attendance prediction for the next week in the Dome? Sub 30. Yeah. Sub 30. I don't think. I mean, maybe there. It is an inner city thing, and like UIW may be looking at this as like, oh, we actually have a real chance at winning this game. I don't think they do, but they're gonna think that. So it could. You might get no more than 33. I would say, but who knows? Who knows? I think Wilson should start over McCoy. I do too. Is they don't throw McCoy the ball anymore. Have y'all noticed that? He had 11 drops last year, and I hate it for the kid, but they didn't. Let me see. He had how many targets? He had 1 target last week, 0 targets this yesterday. He's out of the plans. Um, is what this kind of says. Anyway, yeah. On to next week. I'll have a couple of articles on this stuff coming out on Sport News and probably on my Twitter page. Make sure you guys follow me there. And yeah, on to UIW. This one stings. This one hurts, but the season must go on. I'll see you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.